Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today on Stamp School, we're going to mix some paper folding with stamping to make a really cute kind of origami Japanese themed bookmark. This video is brought to you by artneco.com. They have all the supplies to make your bookmarks. They have beautiful papers and these tassels, bookmark sleeves, and geisha stamps. There are so many beautiful ones that they have on their website. The one I'm using is actually, it's like almost like a framed little scene, but I really love the size and the shape of her face, so that's why I'm using that one. But I mean, they have so many different ones depending on what you like. And if you have children, I want to recommend this set here. I keep all mine in binders, by the way, but I love these little kokosheki dolls. They're so adorable. They're fun to color, but they'd also be really great for your children to stamp with and make these little paper dolls. And you can teach them a little bit about origami and the Japanese culture while you're at it. Now, don't mind my lovely fashionable ensemble. I've got a sweater on and my bathrobe because I'm working downstairs in my basement, but I wanted to have all my goodies. I wanted to be able to get into all my stuff as I was working today. I really felt like I wanted to be with all my stuff. When I'm working upstairs in my office, I'm very limited supply, and I didn't feel like being limited supply today, although this project can be done with limited supplies, which I love, and it's a great way to use up scraps and also use your washi tape hoard. I don't know if you have a washi tape hoard like I do, but anyway, if you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw some of these dolls my daughters and I had been making, and these are a couple my daughters made, and we were just having a ball. We were making these, using them for bookmarks, and as I was making a bunch of these dolls from a book my sister got me for Christmas, I realized that the foundation of these were all very similar. So rather than show you what's right in the book, because you can get that book, it's actually a kit. Let me see if I can find that box that that kit came out of. Oh, right here. It's actually a kit from Barnes & Noble, which has all these different ideas and patterns. The thing I didn't like is that all the paper was printed. So you kind of had to have, you know, the paper with the printing parts, and I really wanted to learn how to do this so I could do it with any paper I had. And also, I really didn't like folding the heads. They were very complicated, and then if you folded them wrong, they looked very messy. So instead of folding the heads, I decided I would stamp some because I have all these gorgeous geisha stamps, and I thought you guys might enjoy that as well. So the first thing you want to do is get your supplies, and I'm going to show you what we're going to use here. These markers are optional. I'm going to be using these to color the geisha's face, just adding some detail. We also have some washi tape. Again, you can use scraps of paper. I just think it's pretty and I have it, so why not use it? I'm using a bookmark sleeve from Art Neco and a tassel, and like I mentioned before, they have these in kits or individually. They have some gorgeous new bookmark stamps out now too that you might want to check out. I've used them before, but I'm going to link to all of this in the video description so you can check that out. We're going to use a 1-inch strip of paper. We don't even need this much length, so if you have something that looks good with your origami paper and you want to use it, go right ahead, dig in the scrap bin, totally fine. And we're going to use 1.5 sheets of 6x6 origami paper. Now I want to show you, if you listen, do you hear how crispy that paper is? It's very thin yet durable and holds really good creases. So it's a little bit different than your scrapbooking paper, but if all you have is scrapbooking paper, give it a try. This isn't really complicated origami, so it'll work fine. You'll just get a much nicer look with origami paper, and it'll be a little easier to work with. But like if you were using these stamps and you wanted your kids to try making some and you didn't have any origami paper, go ahead, use copy paper, use scrapbook paper. If you're doing something like maybe an 8x8 paper, so it would be the right size for these faces, you totally could use your scrapbook paper and it would look beautiful. I'm just going to use origami paper because you will get a little bit better of a result, and it's not that expensive. You can get multi-packs at the craft store. So the first thing you're going to do is either, you have two choices, you can either turn over the top edge of your paper, or you can use a strip of washi tape along the edge. So since I have the washi tape and I like buying it and collecting it, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon, I'm going to use my washi tape. I always feel better about my collections if I actually use it. So, and I do love washi tape. It's really, it's one of those things where I never thought I would get into it, and then I'm like, this is really handy. So what I'm going to do is kind of put it half on, half off at the edge of my paper, and again, fold that over. If you don't have washi tape, it's totally fine. And then I'm just going to fold over the extra, and this will just give us like a little bit of a reveal on our kimono. And you can either tear or snip off the excess, or even leave it. I don't think it's going to give you any problem. Alright, so this is what it looks like on the back. So this is what we're going to work on, the back of the paper. And then what we're going to start doing is folding, and this totally is not an exact science. I'm kind of going from about, I would say, a third of the way in, up top to anywhere in this range. It's really not going to make that big of a difference. It just depends on how steep, how much of a V-neck you want there. So I think I want it kind of like that. I'm going to fold it down. Then on the opposite side, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just kind of keeping in, you know, I'm actually folding it over a little bit more. I'm just making sure I get a nice little V-neck there. Because this is the great thing about this. It's not like regular origami where you have to be really precise. So I love this. Okay, then over on this side, I'm going to fold again. I went a little bit over. That's not a big deal. I'm going to fold again. I'm going to try to match up that angle if I can. If I can't, not a big deal, because what's really important is that I try to keep it so the edge is gonna, the bottom edge is gonna equal. So I want to fold this over so that it lines up on the bottom, and then however wide I make it, that's how wide my kimono or my doll is going to be. So this one, I'm going to tear that off, actually, that's kind of bugging me. So this one I'm going to bring right down like that, and then over here I'm going to kind of mimic it. I just want to make sure I line it up on the edge, and that way my sides will be nice and straight. I kind of wish I had a steeper neckline now, but it's not really going to matter because when you put the obi there, it's, you're not even going to really see. And then we're going to fold the excess over to the back. And I can fold up that little corner, and then I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive. So it's not a true origami because we're not doing everything with folds, but it is certainly fun and it looks great. So this is the basic kimono. So you could leave it totally like this. Here's one I did with more contrasting washi tape to the paper. That's just your basic inside part. And you can play with your angles depending on how you want your V-neck to look and how you want these creases to go. Now we want to attach an obi. So what I'm going to do here is take this and I'm going to wrap it around. Now if you don't have any washi tape and you want a little contrast, you can fold over the edges, especially if you have a paper that's white on the back. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to simply put this on with a little adhesive. And it's a great way to use up your scraps. I want mine to be kind of high. There we go. Wrap it around, and then I'm going to trim off the excess. Now I want to add an accent of washi tape. Now again, if you fold it over your edges, you don't need to do this. So any place where you typically fold over your edge, I'm using washi tape just to, you know, add that extra pattern in. Personal preference, I like it. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it. So I'm folding that around, and also it's decorating the back because we are going to see both sides of this because we're going to put it in a bookmark sleeve. So I want to kind of, it's kind of like Project Life. I'm thinking about both sides of the design as I'm working. I'm thinking about the B side and the A side. Now, if your back side ends up being a total mess, then you can mount it on paper and you can put it in the bookmark sleeve like that. So don't worry if you end up with a hot mess on the back. Totally fine. Some of these are not so pretty on the back. You see what I mean? But that was a really fun book. I love a book that teaches me how to do something and then I can adapt it to other supplies I already have. Alright, so then we have a 3x6 piece of the same paper. And we're going to fold that in half the hot dog way. Crease it really well. And then it's a good idea to fold in half again and give it a crease just so we know where the midpoint is. Because it's not going to be perfectly symmetrical. Or it doesn't have to be. But it will give us a good idea of how we want our sleeves to go. So this is the sleeve portion of our kimono. So what I like to do is just kind of put my kimono part over that. And then what I'm going to do is just kind of figure out how I want my sleeves to go. So I'm going to fold it kind of down. And if you do both sides at the same time, you have a better chance of it being symmetrical. I'm not a big stickler for this because I think, you know, if it's a person wearing a kimono, they're typically going to be, you know, moving their hands different ways, and you don't always stand symmetrically. So I'm not going to worry about it too much. And then what I like to do is I kind of just fold it over. I got to figure out how wide my bookmark sleeve is too, because I want to make sure that it's going to fit in my bookmark sleeve. So I'm folding that over like that. And I'm going to fold this over like this. Okay, that's just going to kind of give me an idea of where the elbows are going to be. So hopefully that'll fit in my sleeve. If not, I'll just have to do a little pinching and tucking. It's just going to fit, I think. Okay, so then what I do is I kind of hold down that corner with my finger, and then I stick my other finger in the little bugly shape it makes, and then I'm just going to kind of bend it down so that I get a little bit peeking out right here. And this little piece peeking out right there, I'm going to fold inwards in a minute so it almost looks like, you see that reverse paper, so it looks kind of like a hand. Okay, so I stick my finger in the little hole that we made. Whoops, we got that guy. And I'm just going to move this part out of the way so you can see. So I stuck my finger in the hole. So this is how it was originally. I'm afraid I'm going to confuse you. This is such a bold pattern. So this is how it is. Let me just stick this in there. Maybe that'll be easier for you to see. Okay, that's how we folded it. Then I'm going to stick my finger in that hole there. And I'm just kind of opening it up. Kind of pushing it down so it's going to fold. Push it down like that, and then you'll see there's this little bitty corner here. And then I'm just going to get my finger in there again. I'm going to open that up. Open up that little corner. And I'm going to squash it open. So then you just got this little pink, this little white peeking out there. Just a little hand peeking out. Do that on the other side. You do have to kind of unfold it back a little bit to get that out. I practiced this a few times too before I did it because I'm like, well, I want to make sure they can understand me, but I always get lost on origami things when I'm following other people. So if this is tricky, I'll try to find a tutorial I can link to. Maybe there's one that's got step-by-step photos that's similar. But you know, that gives you the idea. Now what I want to do is again line it up to my bookmarks. I think I'm gonna need to tuck it in a little bit. I am, but before I do that, I'm going to adhere it on the back. You can use wet glue, whatever you have, it doesn't really matter. I just don't want that coming apart. Make sure you have your everything lined up where you want it. If you want the arms up higher, you can put them up higher. If you want them lower, put them wherever you want. I always think it's a shame to cover up any of that cute obi. Alright, and then, like I took a little tuck there, I think I'm going to take a little tuck here, so I get that like, so it looks like I have a lot of fabric, you know, and it also will help bring the edges of the kimono in. And then you can change the angle of the arms a little bit too if you want to that way. And that way it's going to fit inside of my sleeve. Okay? I can see it's going to fit right like that. Now we need a face. So what I do whenever I have small pieces of cardstock left over from a project, I chop it into like rectangles and I stick them in this little coupon organizer. It makes it so I don't waste any. The only downside is I'm not very good about labeling what's what, so I never really know what kind of cardstock I have in there. So I'm just going to stamp with some basic dye-based ink that I know won't feather. And this is, I'm just going to stamp up the portion, ink up the portion of this stamp that's got the face. And I'm just going to push my cardstock down onto that and give it a little rub. I like to stamp upside down on if I'm working on this surface here and I don't have a pad, just because I get a much better impression. And I just need to get that one portion of the stamp, so it's not a big deal. Now I'm going to cut it out, and you're going to notice I'm going to cut it out before I color it because I'm going to want to make sure I can get the edges of the hair nice and black. I'm also going to cut off a strip here to use as a neck. Okay, so I'm going to be cutting the face. I'm going to cut the neck right off too. So you just want to go around and carefully cut out the face hair and the little tassels there. And if you have a nice pair of micro tip scissors like these cutter bees, I think they're called cutter bees. They work great. You definitely want something you can get in and around and cut, fussy cut there. And no, I'm not using my scan and cut machine because of all the other lines on there. I don't think I could scan and cut that piece just as quick to do it this way anyway. And I want to make it so that we can all do it together. Alright, I'm going to go get my oil change today. Yeah, this is the small talk chatting. I should probably just pause that. Oh yeah, I don't need to cut around that because she's got a bun back there. When I get into the really nitty-gritty areas, I'll just kind of cut straight across and I'll go in and clean that up in a second. Alright, you don't want to hear about my oil change or the rest of the plans that I have for the day. So I'm going to pause this and finish cutting this out and we'll be back when it's time to color. Okay, I've zoomed in too. This isn't really, you know, tricky coloring. I'm just going to go in, make sure I get right to the edges of the hair and right on the edges of where I've cut. That way it'll look nice and neat inside the bookmark sleeve. I'm going to use metallic markers to do like the little sticks, hair sticks that she's wearing, and they're opaque so they will show up over the hair, so it's okay if I get a little bit over the stick areas as long as I know where they are. This is a very old Tombow brush marker, but man, these suckers never dry out, so I am still using that. A little closer to the hair there. Hopefully I won't have to stick my head in front of the camera. Sometimes I do when I'm in there coloring detailed. Now I'm going to do a little bit of pink on her lips and on these little flowers here. Oh my gosh, I do have to get in there close to see though. Holy cow. Oh my. And then I'm going to use this Winsor Newton Gold marker. I'm just going to go right over there. I can wipe this off my table later if I want to. Obviously, I'm not that concerned with my table. Just want to make sure I get the edges really well. I love this mat. It was, I got it at Walmart many years ago in the sewing department. It was only like $25. And I just love it so I can cut on my table. I don't have to worry about it. I can use a rotary cutter on it if I want, although I usually don't, just because it's kind of gotten a lot of abuse over the years, so I don't really, I'm afraid I might have like glue and stuff on it. I don't want to nick my rotary cutter. And I think I'm going to go in there, get the rest of this kind of crown. She's probably royalty. Oh, there's another set at Art & Deco that would be really good for this. I think it's called like Queen of Hearts, and it would be great, especially with Valentine's Day. So you might want to check that out if you like to do a lot of paper dolls and things like that. Oh, right. And when you're making paper dolls, it's kind of like, well, they're fun. I love making them, but what the heck do I do with them? If I put them in a bookmark sleeve, I know they're going to stay. My work is not going to be undone. They'll stay nice and they'll actually be useful. So I'm just going to kind of put on, I'm going to do the leaves on those flowers with the silver. And that's pretty much all I'm going to do there. I just wanted to have a little bit of decoration. Now on the back side, I recommend, because the back side's going to show that we colored that black. Now we cut off a little piece for the neck right here, I think. I'm going to see if that's going to fit. That's going to fit in our kimono just fine. I'm going to zoom out here. Ooh, here we go. And we're simply going to adhere, put a little adhesive on the back of this so we can stick it inside the neck, and I'm not even sure if this is the piece that I intended for this or it's just a random scrap on my table. It's so hard to tell. And then I'm gonna adhere her head onto this, and probably a little drop of glue would work a little bit better for that, but that's alright. We have it, it's right there, and it works. There we go. Oops, I do want to trim a little of that down, and then I would recommend, I'm not going to show it on camera just because this video is getting kind of long. Then just color the back of the head with your black marker, and that's all you need to do there. Now we're going to slide this into our bookmark sleeve, and I like to slide it in so the front of the bookmark is facing the part with a tassel on it. That way if you decide you don't want a tassel and you just want to tuck that in the back, it won't show. And I'm just going to squeeze her in there, just barely making it there with those little folds, that little tuck fold that we did. You can add another tuck if you need to. It should tuck in pretty easily if you're using origami paper. Just naturally it should fold in on itself. And there we have it. I'm going to use this tassel because this is the last one I have left. I've used up all my Art & Deco tassels. I guess it's time for me to place another order. And there you have it, a very sweet little bookmark. These would be so fun to make with kids in an art class, or to make for friends, or maybe even little Valentine surprises you can mail out to your friends. I want to thank you so much for watching today. If you are looking for geisha stamps or any Asian themed stamps, make sure you check out our sponsor, artanddeco.com. They have a great bargain for you too, a sale, a coupon. All you gotta do is mention the Frugal Crafter and save 10% on your order, or you can get free shipping on orders over 50. You get the discount. That is greater because that's the kind of operation they run over at Art & Deco. I want to thank you so much for watching. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe and share this with your crafty friends. Until next time, happy crafting.